we started a new series called Speaking Sunday. The whole idea this summer is to take words that we use a lot in church and look at them through a new angle. Maybe bring another facet of their meaning into the conversation, maybe walk away with a little more depth in our understanding. But this Sunday, Bobby started us off by talking about salvation, about as Christian, about as Sunday a word as you can possibly get, salvation. But what I want to talk about here is the prepositions of salvation, because I think the words that we use surrounding salvation actually do a lot to shape our imagination of who God is and how God comes to us. When we talk about salvation, are we talking about being saved to or being saved from? And if we're talking about being saved from, what exactly are we being saved away from? These are not incidental little pieces. These are really important. Those prepositions will do a lot to shape what you mean, what you imagine when you use a word like salvation. And so I want to say a couple things here that are really important to me. First, you are not being saved from God. You are not saved from the wrath and anger of God. God is not your enemy. God is on your side. You are being saved from your sin. You are being saved from everything that tears at creation. You are being saved from everything that wants to hurt you. You are being saved by God to God. God draws us back to God's self because God loves us, because God, like any good parent, wants to save us from the things that hurt us. And sometimes when we use this language, when we use these propositions in the wrong way, what they do is we shape our imagination in ways to believe that really God is our enemy. And God is the one we need to be saved from. Hell and everything God will do to us is what we need to be saved from. And this is fundamentally a broken way of understanding the grace and the love, the character of the God who saves us. Then the second question is, what are we being saved to? Is salvation just about being saved away from a terrible end, whether that comes from God or from ourselves? Or is salvation about stepping into something new, life abundant, life more full, the kind of life that was always intended for all of God's creation? Because this is what's really important when we think about salvation. We are not just being saved from something, we are being saved into something. We're being welcomed into a new life, a new way of being, a new way of moving through this world in the path, the model, the way of Jesus. And when that becomes our framework, when those become the prepositions that we use to surround our imagination of salvation, salvation becomes not just a moment, not just an instance, but it becomes a way of life that we are invited into. A way of moving through the world that continually changes us, transforms us, and saves us a little bit more each day. This is what you're invited to. This is what the gospel is all about, that you are saved from everything that tears at you. You are saved to a way of life that leads you step by step closer back to God. Think about the prepositions you use when you speak about salvation. Think about consciously how you can change them and shape them, and how they can add depth to or maybe even reinvent your imagination of what it means to be saved.